Is this everybody? Everybody's here now? Or still coming? Still coming. Well, we're not going to wait. We made it to, after a little traffic and other obstacles, we made it to Naimisaranya. Within ISKCON, we're very familiar with Naimisaranya because it's the place where Srimad Bhagavatam was narrated from our perspective for the third time, that being Sutta Goswami speaking to the sages after Krishna's departure. But Naimisaranya has vast prominence and reference and history within the Vedic texts and within the lives of great spiritual personalities over the course of time. So we'll just begin basically three parts for this discussion. References here and there about Naimisaranya, particularly because we're visiting places of Lord Ramachandra's pastimes. He came here to Naimisaranya. We'll mention it again, but after his return to Ayodhya, for the benefit of the citizens of his kingdom, not for having a son or some other purpose like that, he performed Ashvamedha Yajnas, and according to the history, every year he performed an Ashvamedha Yajna, not only one, and the 10th in the line of Ashvamedha Yajnas that he performed was here at Naimisaranya. It is said, of course, so many things are said, that Tulsi, we're going to visit the place where it is also said that Tulsi composed Ram Charita Manas, but some say he composed Ramayana, or parts of Ramayana at least, here at Naimisaranya. And with a good reason, because this is a place where the reciting of the glories of the Lord through the histories of the Lord and his great devotees, as found in the Puranas, was particularly renowned. Prior to Sutta Goswami narrating Srimad Bhagavatam here, this was the place, Naimisaranya, was the place, we'll go to the place later, where Romaharshan Sutta would recite the Puranas. We know from Canto 1, Chapter 4, beginning of Chapter 4 of Canto 1 is a question by Shaunaka, disciple of Bhrigu Muni. He wanted to know how the Srimad Bhagavatam appeared, and so in the whole chapter that answers that question, there's a description of Srila Vyasadeva compiling in a written form all the Vedas. Of course, there in Srimad Bhagavatam it says he did it at his ashram in Badri. Badarikashram. And when he came to the Puranic section of the Vedas, the Puranas were entrusted to Romaharshan, one of Vyasadev's disciples, and Romaharshan then in turn had his team, and they assisted him in that service. And of course he taught his son, Sutta, or Ugra Shrava Sutta. And it was in Naimisaranya when Balaram was on pilgrimage. You know that Balaram, as Krishna took the position that he would not fight in the Kurukshetra battle, and either someone could take his armies or take him. Arjuna wanted him, and Duryodhana chose first, he wanted his armies. But Balaram also would not fight, and instead he went on pilgrimage. Now the purpose of Balaram's pilgrimage was to purify the places of pilgrimage. And one of those places that Balaram visited was Naimisaranya. Lord Nityananda went on pilgrimage, and he also visited Naimisaranya. When Arjuna was on pilgrimage, some historical incident from Mahabharata, went on an extended pilgrimage and visited holy places, and Naimisaranya was one of those places. It has great significance, and the list of, there's more places that it makes reference than not, long list. So I'm just going to cite several prominent references. One of them is from the Vayu Purana, and the reference in Vayu Purana to Naimisaranya was that a number of great rishis, they were very eager to hear from Lord Brahma a suitable place for them to undergo austerities. In response, Brahma said, this is Brahma, from my mind, I'm going to create a wheel, like a chakra, not Vishnu's chakra, Brahma's wheel, and I'll throw the wheel far, far away, and wherever the wheel lands, that place will become a suitable place for your performance of austerities. And so the wheel landed, it went flying, 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 and it landed in Naimisaranya, at a place that became known as Chakra Tirtha. Literally, Naimisaranya, in Sanskrit, Naimi means the circumference or the outside of a wheel, and Naimisaranya is where the wheel hit and it bent, and in a forested area, or Anya, Naimisaranya. And where the wheel hit, a gush of water came out, just like sprouting into the air. And everyone became afraid, everything's going to become flooded. So some manifestation, according to Vayu Purana, of Shakti, the Lord's potency, she stopped the gushing, and the place then became known as Chakra Tirtha. So that place is a place that we're going to be visiting. We'll hear a little bit more about it. And considered a very sacred place. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur commented on this particular passage from the Vayu Purana and said that the chakra from the mind of Brahma represents speculative knowledge, or knowledge obtained by our imperfect senses and imperfect mind. And the smashing, the bending or breaking of the chakra when it landed indicates recognizing, either the person recognizing the knowledge or the knowledge having its own awareness of its limitation, that you can't know God that way. And when one comes to that position of recognizing by speculative knowledge, not possible to know God, that person, that humbled person, then is a good candidate, suitable candidate for hearing the message of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhaktisiddhanta explaining that Vayu Purana pastime. From the Varaha Purana, reference to Naimisaranya, is that there was a sage, Gora Mukha Rishi, and he had possession of the Chintamani stone. A contemporary of his, Durjaya, a materialistic king, very powerful, valiant warrior, conquered in many directions. He heard about Gora Mukha Rishi's Chintamani stone. So he didn't mess around, he brought his whole army and was preparing for battle to get Chintamani stone from a rishi. And the rishi prayed to Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu responded by finishing the entire army and his chief, Durjaya, with his chakra. And that reference from Varaha Purana in Naimisaranya, that Gora Mukha Rishi was residing here, indicating that in one moment, in an instant, in Sanskrit, the word nimisha. Nimisha means, it's in the third canto, that chapter dealing with calculation of time by the atom. And nimisha is less than a blink of an eye. It's a fraction of a moment. It's a certain measure of time in Vedic calculation. So in that much time, material desire can be finished. Just like Hiranyakashipu, in the moment he was finished, or Ravana, in a moment he was finished, or Naimish, hearing the explanation is, as we're doing, hearing pastimes of the Supreme Lord, as the narration of Srimad Bhagavatam was done in Naimisaranya, hearing pastimes of the Supreme Lord has that power, then in a moment, the potency is there to completely finish all material desire. So these two, material desire and mental speculation, can be finished in a sacred place if one enters and does proper activity here. In Garga Samhita, it mentions that this glorification of Naimisaranya, one who takes dust from the shore of the Gomati river here at Naimisaranya becomes freed from the sins of hundreds of births. And many, many other scriptural references. It's described, I remember hearing this from Srila Prabhupada, Lord Brahma, when creating the universe, was conceptualizing the universe encompassed by the universe, not just this planet, the universe being encompassed by a wheel, and the hub of the wheel was Naimisaranya. And that was one of the reasons that the sacrifice was performed here, because from the hub, the benefit that would go throughout the whole universe. The sacrifice, the benefit of the sacrifice. So they chose this place. It's described in scripture that this word Aranya means forest, and the Aranya Sarup, or the forest of Vishnu, is Naimisaranya. And it is said, and we'll hear it another time again, Naimisaranya, within Naimisaranya, all holy places are found. Now it says in reverse in Navadvip Mahatmya that within Navadvip, all holy places are found, including Naimisaranya. It's this, in other words, it's the spiritual world. Spiritual world in this realm. Now there's pastimes related to this fact, but that's the understanding from scripture. So many references. Very, very important holy place. So some of the places in Naimisaranya we'll be visiting, depending upon how the schedule has to be adjusted because of traffic and everything else. The Chakra Tirtha Kund, of course those of you that have been to Vrindavan, you have gone to Govardhan, and when you go to Govardhan, you go to, where do you go? Where is Chakra Tirtha? Manasi Ganga. And there's a different pastime connected, although the same name of the place. So where that chakra of Lord Brahma landed is Chakra Tirtha, and there's a kund, the lake that is said to be bottomless. So historically, the British wanted to show the humbug of faith in such things as a bottomless lake. So they got a cable and extended the cable down and 3,300 feet down, and they couldn't find the bottom. So they gave up. The British failed to find the bottom of Chakra Tirtha Kund. And there's many glories taking bath on the 12th lunar day, the Chakra Tirtha, and you go back to Godhead and sprinkle some water and you go to the heavenly planets. And right over here is Vyasa Gadi. Gadi means his sitting place. And at least the local people say, I'm not so convinced, that this is where Vyasa divided the Vedas. Because Veda, Vyasa means to divide. So it's a function. Veda, Vyasa comes every cycle of the 4 yugas. At the end of Dwapara Yuga, somebody takes the post. Now, reference in the Bhagavatam was his ashram was, as I mentioned, in Badri, or Badrik ashram, and it was there that he did this service. Of course, you ask the gentleman over here, and they'll say, no, it was over here. Just like over on this side, they say something that's not in the Bhagavatam. Swayambhuva Manu, according to the Srimad Bhagavatam, Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa were born directly from the body of Lord Brahma, because he had to fill up the universe and had to have the lawgiver of mankind, so he just directly manifested them in male and female form and in their adult feature, effortlessly. And according to the Bhagavatam, they had 2 sons and 3 daughters. But over here they say 23,000 years they underwent some austerity to have the Supreme Lord as their son, and he became their son. That's what they say. And they say this is Vyasa's sitting place. That's what they say. It doesn't take away from what Naimisaranya is. Just like some of you probably were with us when we went to Dwarka last Kartik, and one of the places that we visited, they said, locals said, was the cave of Muchukunda. Remember that? Well, the cave of Muchukunda is not near Dwarka. The cave of Muchukunda is near Vrindavan, near Mathura. There's a cave of Muchukunda just near the border in Rajasthan, because where Vrindavan ends is where Rajasthan begins, and there's a mountain in which there's a cave of Muchukunda. But, you know, it's good commerce. Say, no, it's over here. Doesn't take away from what Naimisaranya is, but over here is this very ancient banyan tree. They're very eager to have you circumambulate the banyan tree, saying benedictions will come. And a nice murti of Vyasadeva just up the steps a bit. And the sitting place of Vyas. Now it's certainly possible Vyas could have come here and spent some time in Naimisaranya. Perfectly possible. Another place that we'll visit is Hanuman Garhi. And Hanuman Garhi, I haven't been there, but an 18-foot deity of Hanuman, according to the local legend, self-manifesting 18-foot deity. And on one shoulder is Ram, the other shoulder is Lakshman, and off he goes, carrying Ram and Lakshman. And part of the Valmiki Ramayana is Sundarakanda, and Sundarakanda is entirely dedicated to Hanuman. We've been speaking from Balakanda and we haven't finished. And Sundarakanda is a whole kanda also, and it's long, and it's all about Hanuman. So persons come to this place, Naimisaranya, Hanuman Bhaktas, and worship Hanuman by reciting, beginning to end, the Sundarakanda of Valmiki Ramayana. According to the locals, the Pandavas came here and they performed some tapasya, and there's a place commemorating the Pancha Pandava Kila. Now I have a lot more confidence in this other one, that's the Sutta Gadi. Just as this is the Vyasa Gadi, there's the Sutta Gadi, where Romaharshan Sutta sat. He was kusagrased by Balaram when he didn't stand to honor Balaram, and feeling him unqualified to speak the Vedas, the Puranic portion of the Vedas. And then Balaram placed his son, Ugrashrava Sutta, on that seat instead. And from there, because it was the practice of Romaharshan just to recite. In fact, his name, Romaharshan, he would become so ecstatic reciting the Puranas that Romaharshan, his hairs would stand on end in ecstasy, until he kind of lost it when he disrespected Balaram. So from that seat, the Sutta Gadi, Sutta Goswami, he was also the speaker of the various Puranas, many. Of course, there were sub-speakers that he referred to, but the place where he spoke, and where he spoke Srimad Bhagavatam. So we'll visit that place. We'll hear some of the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. There's the Yajna Sthala, the place where the sages had gathered to perform the long 1,000-year sacrifice. There's a Gaudiya Math temple, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur established, with Radha Krishna deities. Radha Vrindavihari. There's a place we were, of course, time permitting, we will also visit, called Lalita, Devi, and the history of this place is during the Daksha Yajna, when the wife of Lord Shiva was offended by Daksha, she gave up her body, and according to some history, not the Bhagavatam, but parts of her body went here and there, and her heart came to this place, and so that where the heart of Sati landed is a place where they worship. The Shaktas have a nice place of worship there. And so it goes on. There's many, the place where Ram performed his 10th Ashwamedha Yajna is here. An interesting place that we'll also visit if time permits is Dadichi Kund. Dadichi we know from Srimad Bhagavatam in the 6th canto. Dadichi was approached by Indra and the demigods at the recommendation of Lord Vishnu when the demigods, headed by Indra, had a big problem where Vritrasura was terrorizing, just dominating and destroying all the demigods. So Lord Vishnu said to come to the place where Dadichi was performing his austerities. So this is the place. Now Dadichi, some interesting detail, Dadichi was the son of one of his mother. He was the son of his mother, and his mother was one of the 9 daughters of Kashyapa. Excuse me, Kardama. Kardama Muni was, and Devahuti were the father of Lord Kapila. But there were 9 daughters before that, and one of those 9 daughters was his mother. So Dadichi was the son of Chitti, and Chitti was given in marriage to Atharva Rishi. So Dadichi was both a great sage and he was a great king. He was a very celebrated personality, particularly known for being very magnanimous and very generous and very giving. That's why, and saintly, perfectly pure and saintly. And from the Bhagavatam, he just was so detached. There's some service I can do with my body. He just gave up his body, went back to Godhead. Then his body was used by Indra, as was told to him by Vishnu, taken to Vishwakarma, who created a special thunderbolt weapon that was meant for the destruction of Vritrasura, and that happened. So Dadichi Kund is here. Now, a detail that's told locally, it's not in the Bhagavatam, but locally it's told he was prepared to give up his body, but he wanted to first visit all the sacred rivers. That would have taken a long time. And they needed this thunderbolt weapon in a big hurry because Vritrasura was out of control. And so instead of his going to the sacred rivers, they came to him. And that's the Kund. Dadichi Kund is the sacred rivers. He took bath, and then he gave up his body and gave his bones, and they made the weapon and defeated Vritrasura. So Dadichi Kund. And the place has another name, Mistra Tirtha, mixture of the various sacred rivers in one holy place. Again, the locals say that within Naimisaranya all the holy places are found, and one of those holy places, this is interesting, is Kedarnath. And Kedarnath is a place where Lord Shiva is worshipped, but interesting, in the place that is considered to be Kedarnath within Naimisaranya, the deities are Lord Jagannath Baladeva and Subhadra. And so, at least the locals take it, that just see, all the places of pilgrimage are within, including Jagannath Puri, are within Naimisaranya. So, there's a Balaji temple, the Lord Shiva temple, Bhutanath temple. There's a Gokarna Nath, little history. Ravana was a worshipper of Lord Shiva, so he went another time. We heard of one time he visited, he went another time to Lord Shiva, requested Shivalinga to worship. So he gave and said, but you can't stop, you have to go all the way back to Lanka. It was one of those things, he had to answer the call of nature on his way back. And so he didn't put the Shila to the ground, he handed it to a cowherd boy who put it on the ground, and he felt tricked by Lord Shiva, but so that deity, that Shivalinga, he pressed with his thumb, this is local lore, and it made a mark in the Shila that looked like a cow's ear, so it's called Gokarna, Shivalinga. Gokarna Nath is the name of the Shila. I don't think we're going there, but that's, for local people, that's one of the places they like to go, here in Naimisaranya. So, I'm going to spend a little bit of time doing something a little different, and that's some philosophy from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Besides these Puranic stories, because Srimad Bhagavatam was narrated here in Naimisaranya. And one way, there's many ways, one way to describe the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam is in the first 3 chapters of Canto 1. There's 6 questions, 6 answers. So very quickly, because this could be a month-long seminar, and some have made it a month-long seminar to go into the 6 questions, 6 answers in detail. We're going to do it in 10-15 minutes. Just a little summary. Essential topics that later on in the rest of the Bhagavatam they're expanded, but the essence of these 6 questions, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur summarizes the questions in Canto 1, Chapter 2, Verse 1 in his commentary, and he lists the 6 questions. And then Jiva Goswami has earlier explained that the answers are given in 4 of them in Chapter 2, and 3 answers in Chapter 3, 2 answers in Chapter 3, making the 6 answers. So the first question, actually the first and second question are found in verses 6 and 7 of Chapter 2. What's the ultimate benefit? Shreya Uttama, the ultimate benefit for all people in general, the absolute and ultimate benefit. First question. That's a good question. Absolute and ultimate benefit for all people in general. And the answer, summarized, is to, on the negative side, become free from material bondage. And on the positive side, develop pure love of God through devotional service to the personality of Godhead, Krishna, or one of his expansions, one of the Vishnu Tattva forms. Ultimate and absolute good. Question number 2, what's the essence of all the Vedas? The statement is, the Vedas are so vast, people don't have the inclination, they don't have the capacity, they don't have the duration of life, there's no one to teach them. Can you make it really easy for us? What's the essence of all the Vedas? Second question. And the essence of all the Vedas is to understand that Krishna is the source of everything, the absolute truth, therefore the worshipable object, and re-establishing one's relationship with Krishna in love and service. That's the essence of all, sub and substance of all Vedic literature. Now, the Vedic literature covers many things, but the purpose and essence behind those many things is one thing. This one thing. Krishna, pure loving service unto Him. That's the essence. Important point, important question, important essence to understand. All the Vedas. Third question, why did Krishna appear? Specifically, the question is framed as appear as the son of Devaki, but why did he appear in this world? And in chapter 2, the answer is given towards the end of the chapter. The purpose of the Lord's appearance is to bring those in the mode of goodness to the position of transcendence. So those that have some kind of spiritual inclination, to attract them, draw them, bring them by His appearance and the topics about Him to the supreme position. That's why He appeared. That's chapter 2, the answers. In chapter 3, the answers come where, for the purpose of this material creation, this is still chapter 2. For the purpose of the material creation, what are the activities of the Supreme Lord for fulfilling the purpose of creation? So it describes the Purusha avatars and His expanding as Brahma and Shiva, and the cosmic elements, and coming to the position of manifesting this world, so people have the opportunity to engage in devotional service and purify themselves. Then the fifth question, the activities of the personality of Godhead. When He does appear in this world, describe His appearances. So that's summarized in short in chapter 3, then of course expanded in further detail throughout the whole of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And there's one more question. What's that one more question? Now that Krishna has departed, where are religious principles taking shelter? Because when Krishna was present, just by the touch of His lotus feet on earth, auspiciousness and benefit for all living entities was established, and now He's gone. So where are religious principles taking shelter now that He's gone? That is, where should we take shelter for the purpose of religious principles? And the answer is given towards almost the very last verse of chapter 3, Srimad Bhagavatam. Shortly after Krishna's departure, the Srimad Bhagavatam has appeared. Just like after the setting of the sun, nighttime comes. And shortly after the setting of the sun and nighttime, the moon often will rise. But in this case, the moon was as brilliant as the sun, but cooling like the moon. And so the Srimad Bhagavatam has the same effect as Krishna's presence, just by reciting it and hearing it and remembering it. That's how we can get Krishna's association, just like we heard yesterday that when Lava and Kusha were reciting Ramayana, Valmiki says everyone was so absorbed in the recitation of Ramayana that they were more attracted to Ramayana than to Rama. So the Ramayana recitation is none different than Lord Ram. And the Bhagavatam is none different than Lord Krishna. None different. Just as the name, Abhinatvam Nama Namino, the name of Krishna and Krishna are the same, the Srimad Bhagavatam and Krishna are the same. So one can associate with him, although it's not the end of Dwapara Yuga when Krishna is appearing. We can't wind the clock back and be present with Krishna in that way, but we can be present with Krishna in this way, by the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we're going to hear, when we go to Sutta Gadi, some very interesting explanation about Srimad Bhagavatam from Bhagavat Mahatmya. In short, everything is available through hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's made especially beneficial, or the potency can be more easily accessed when hearing in a sacred place, and particularly the sacred place of Naimisaranya, where it was recited by Sutta Goswami. So those of you that just made it to Naimisaranya, welcome. Now we're all together again. And what's going to be the plan? We're going to have to adjust our schedule. And the schedulers are over here conferring what's going to happen next. Have you figured it out? Yes. Okay, you want to speak?
Lunch will be at Janmashtami, to be ready by 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock?
Yes. So it takes half an hour to walk from here.
Half an hour walk?
It's a short walk, but it takes half an hour. So up to 1:30 we can have a lecture here, and then we will have lunch. After lunch at Janmashtami, so I think we will have to walk to Sudagati. So we will have a lecture there. Probably when you guys will see visiting other places, it's generally time. So right now, 1:30.
Did you get that one? I'll say it again. We're going to follow our guide who knows the way, and we're going to walk to the Hanuman temple. We'll see the Hanuman deity, there we'll have lunch, takes a half an hour to get there. And of course everybody walks at even pace, right? And then we'll have lunch. And then we'll take another half-hour walk to Sutta Gadi, the sitting place of Sutta. And there we'll hear some of the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam and the recitation of Srimad Bhagavatam. And apparently some of the places that we were going to visit, we'll just wave on the way by and say Hare Bol. Something like that. Clear? So where's our guide? Is he in the back? You want to say his name? Okay, so we just follow our guide and we'll be happy. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Gaur Premanandi.